Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
Hello and welcome to Popternative. This is the podcast and talk show where we have digital discussions in the worlds of TV, film, news, music, lifestyle, sports, everything really, depending on the guest. We talk about it all. As always, I'm your host, Peter Remoliotis. On social media, you know me as PD Beats. My two guests, you will recognize them recently from a show on Netflix called Firefly Lane. I'm going to have them introduce themselves, and then we will get into it.
Hi, I'm Brendan Taylor. I play Mutt on Firefly Lane. I play the cameraman for the small TV channel in the 80s timeline, and also a relationship with the Kate Malarkey character.
Mm-hmm. Hey guys, I'm Jason Mckinnon. I play Sean Malarkey, who's brother of Kate Malarkey, played by Sarah Chalk, and best friends with Katherine Heigl's character, Tully Hart. And it just explores his dynamic with those two relationships and his family, and going through the 70s, 80s, and 2000s. For me, personally, 80s and 2000s, played by Quinn Lord in the 70s.
Brendan, Jason, welcome to Popternative.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.
We're gonna get into the show, but I want to know. I'm talking to two storytellers right here because that's what you guys do. You're storytellers. So, Brendan, when did you decide that storytelling was something you wanted to do, and what drew you towards storytelling, content-wise? Were there any movies or TV shows that kind of you drew influence from?
Yeah, I mean, I was a very shy kid, but I was always drawn to TV and film and movies and cartoons and everything, and I would play in the park with my friends, and we pretend to be these characters that we, come in and just we'd tell our own stories and find them, and they're definitely helped my parents let me kind of watch kind of whatever I wanted growing up. So I think like early movies like Ghostbusters and Goonies and Spaceballs and all these are like Batman, the original Batman is like up there for me. And then something like Pulp Fiction came along, and that was like a new storytelling, this like raw, like rough edged kind of real world that Tarantino created. And that was an early inspiration. And I did the watch monologue in grade 8 in the 8th grade.
Absolutely.
Yeah. A little awkward. That small 13, 14-year-old kid talking about shoving it. Anyways, and I just kind of grew from there. And then I worked on the other side of camera. I worked in set decoration for a good 10 years because I got in that through my mom. And then acting was always there for me, and I finally followed it. And it's just something that's I can't not do. Got to do it.
Absolutely. Jason, what about you? Any monologues you're ashamed of?
That's awesome, Brandon, that you did that one. Chris Walken is like,
yeah. It's a man. Yeah.
My grandfather gave me these AirPods. Love him.
That's pretty good.
Thanks, man.
Good night, boom. Good night, boom. Yeah. I can't do it. Yeah, yours is better.
I think the similar trajectory, I think for a lot of us grew up and technology was like, at least for me, it was VHS, right? I don't know if same for you guys, right? I remember we rented VHS Superman. That was like the first movie we put in on VHS. And I was like blown away. And then we had those little camcorders. We would film something, play it back, blown away. My brother and his buddy, which was wild, they would actually film stop motion with this old school camera. They'd take the time to do each little thing. And I was like, whoa. And I always just was just a weird, silly kid anyway, just doing random stuff to make people laugh anyway. So it's always kind of been there. And same thing for Brendan. It's like, you can't not do it. Yeah.
I on top of that, I had to do some projects in high school with the VHS-C camera. So like the mini VHS that goes in the bigger VHS. And you record it in the camera, and I didn't know how to edit. So I recorded the whole movie in sequence in the camera. Yeah. And like you screw up a take, you like look in the eyepiece and you rewind it and you stop it. And then you like record it and you hope you don't blow it again. And like, that's how I made movies.
What were those little I had that toy, like that projector toy that had like, do you remember that? And like
forget the slide views.
The slide views that you put on the wall. I had like Power Rangers and Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
Do you remember that one?
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Both of you were fantastic in Firefly Lane. I really love the show.
Cheers,
I
man.
knew as soon it's funny because you watch the first 15-20 minutes of that show, like the first episode, and you're into it right away. You love where it's going with the feel and everything. I just wanted to know from both of you. We'll start with Brendan. I mean, it's one of those things where there's a lot of like genre bending happening, I feel like, in TV and film right now, where there's obviously kind of the drama is like the centerpiece, but this show has some comedy in it. This show has some kind of touching moments, some scary moments. It has everything in there. So like when you're reading the script, reading the script and preparing for a role like this, do you kind of do you understand and realize that there's a lot kind of being thrown in dramas these days? It's not just drama. It's a bit funny. It's a bit heartwarming. Like, what's that like for you guys? Like, Brendan?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely see that. But when I first auditioned, my character's lines were just kind of funny. Like one of the auditions was the first scene that I'm in there about like talking about the toilet being clogged or whatever. And like that was the story is like, what do you do? Is like, so what did he say? Like, I don't know, poop in the one downstairs. Like that was like that was the line. And like how is that not funny? Like but there's so many ways to play it. If you play it like earnestly, that like that's a serious problem, or that it's like you play the truth of the moment, like the comedy is in it. So you never, when it comes to those comedic moments, my character is like sort of a comic relief character. There's some funnier parts. It's just always best to play the truth of it through that character, and rather than trying to like do something funny, because it's gonna fall flat on his face, like I promise.
Absolutely. So, Jason, how do you prepare for a role on a show that just has so many different emotions happening in it? Like from start to beginning, there's so many things kind of going on with the characters, and there's different kind of emotions. There's like the happy moments and the not so happy moments, right? Like how do you kind of prepare for a role like that?
Well, we had this awesome acting teacher, Warren Robertson, and he was like, there's not like separate little jars inside of you, right? The happy one, the sad one. He's like, if you can think about it in terms of like it all coming from a place of whatever you want to call it, emoting, feeling, whatever, then that kind of simplifies it. And then you're able to kind of be a little bit more malleable with it. And if you think about it, in movies, what they'll do is they'll get you laughing, and they'll get you like, dude, the opening for the movie Up,
not a word was said.
Bawling in like 4 minutes. Like what? So you're like laughing, it's this little animated thing. You're like, oh no. So I feel like it's all kind of connected like that. So just, to answer your question, just being available, being willing to tap into whatever's going on in there.
Now you both watched the show, right? Firefly Lane. Like you both got a chance to watch it. Because I always ask that rule of thumb, because literally it's happened 3 times where that person that I'm interviewing has not watched the thing we're talking about.
Which I can see some people don't like watching themselves. I know that. I've seen that in interviews and stuff. Yeah. I only watch it for I'll fast forward Brendan. I'm like blah blah blah. Here comes Brendan. Okay, my stuff.
Forward, just fast forward the Brendan stuff.
Yeah,
the cameraman stuff. Just camera. When you kind of like Brendan, when we were talking before we started too, one of my favorite moments of it, especially in the kind of the 80s timeline of the show. Just they hit it out of the park. It's just amazing. One of my favorite parts, Jason, I was telling Brendan, is the music. Like I love the soundtrack.
Taylor, I can tell you, I have like a speaker in my bathroom, and I've been listening to the Firefly Lane, like the official Spotify soundtrack, and just like listen to all these tunes, and like it's a great mix, man. I mean, it's like some great music. Yeah, some stuff I never heard before is great.
You knew that Jason. You knew that there was gonna be like because you're filming it. You know it's the different timelines, the 70s, the 80s. So you knew it's gonna have that feel. When you were watching it though, what was your reaction like with like how they really nailed all the different kind of eras? Like it was amazing.
It's a trip, man. Like the house that we filmed at, the Malarkey house. I mean, I think that house was pretty well preserved in that era, and then they just tweaked a lot of the furniture. So when you're there, when I was already filming, I mean, they did all the heavy lifting to put you in that space. So seeing it just amplified that.
Yeah.
Like they had stuff that we had growing up in our house. I took pictures. There's like 4 or 5 different things that they had, and we literally had in our house in the 80s. So they nailed all of the set decoration and stuff. More so, it was, to be honest, and I'm sure Brendan will agree, watching Ali and Rowan play the younger version of Kate, or Sarah and Katie. It was like uncanny, so good, because we never work with them, obviously, because it just, unless we're in like a time space continuum, that doesn't really play well. But so for me personally, it was seeing that, like how they were just, it was insane. Like one could not exist without the other. They were so good.
Brendan,
it was really cool. Yeah, it was cool to be surprised, or just, I mean, we work with these people, and I actually know Rowan and Ali from, we used to study together with the same acting teacher and stuff, and I've worked with Rowan before too, and I know how good they are. So it was just, when I heard they were cast, I'm like, it's going to be great. I know if this is well written and there's some substance there, like they're going to hit it. And I know, and to see that come true, and like, you know, they deserve all the praise that they've been getting, because they're just really great.
No, absolutely. Yeah. Now I know you guys are good buddies as well, and you've been on the show together. So I'm hoping this is gonna be a good idea. I have a cool idea, an idea I wanted to do. I want you both to ask each other a question about Firefly Lane. I know you talk about a lot of things, so maybe try to make it something maybe you haven't really talked about. But I'm just curious, like Brendan, like, and Jason, if you have a question for each other about the show that you maybe didn't like talk about or didn't think about. Because I did that when I interviewed people from Ozark, and it was interesting because they knew exactly what to ask, like stuff they always talked every day, but they never talked about those things. So is there anything that?
Okay, I got one.
Yeah.
So Brendan, did they let you pick the sick T-shirts that you got to wear in the 80s?
Good question. I did. I had. I mean, ultimately, I don't think it's my choice. In fact, so I did highlight the ones that I like. I got to wear, if you paid really close attention, the Star Wars shirt in both the first and the last episodes. And there were some cool shirts that were like other like cool bands and stuff. But a lot of those shirts I had, they're like literally just art department creations. Like they look like rock shirts from the 80s. And you're like, oh, that band. And the one was like the Loggerheads. And you're like, I don't remember what they didn't exist. So I think they were trying to keep that going, but there was some confusion around tucking in the shirt or not tucking in the shirt, because like nowadays you don't tuck in a t-shirt, like it's not a thing. But in the 80s, like you tucked in your damn shirt in your jeans, because that's how it worked. So there was like, we were trying to keep that consistent, and then like having the different directors and stuff like that. And like,
that was a good, Jason, that was a good question. Brendan, I don't know if you're going to top that. That was like a really good question.
Right?
A really good question. I don't know how.
It's like Jason knew I was asking that too. Like you had that ready to go. I was like, what is happening right now?
How deep did we go here? Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe this would be interesting. Most of my stuff is with Sarah Chalk, who was lovely. But I was in scenes with Katherine Heigl, and she was wonderful. But like, what's it like you had some really intimate scenes with her about these, Sean Malarkey's secret life, for those who haven't watched the show. So like, what were some of those some highlighted moments working with her?
I guess it was like try not to lose my lunch on the first day, right? Because you're in the scene, and obviously we've been doing it for a while now, like going on 20 years, right? But you're looking across, and you're just trying not to be like, it's Katherine Heigl. You're acting with Katherine Heigl. It's Katherine Heigl. It's not Katherine Heigl. You haven't seen Grey's Anatomy. You don't know what that is. Like, it's just a weird thing. But when you're in the moment doing the scene, it's just weird how you can shut that out as soon as they say action. And she's so good, and she's just like so there. Like, you just feel like she's not thinking about anything else, and so you're just like pulled into the scene so easily with her. That's how I felt. And she's super laid back and chill, and she's such a sweetheart. And yeah, we just got along really well, and it just kind of made the days on set easy.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well,
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna say, just follow. Yeah, I mean, I definitely spent some time with her too, and I confirm the same thing. I mean, she's just such a present actor, and it's great to, and Sarah too. Oh my God, like just having actors that are right there all the time is like such a great thing. I worked, you know, we've done different jobs, and like at this point, being an actor, I don't really kind of care who you are or your stat. Like I can tell if you're paying attention or not. You know, I can tell if you know your lines or not. It doesn't matter like the sort of status. But to have an actor or a person who's there who really cares, who's really present, like you know that this is, you know, we're open to anything here because it's like they're with it. So yeah,
absolutely. Before we wrap it up, quick follow-up question for both of you. I mean, the obvious answer to this question that I'm about to ask you, Jason, Brendan, is you hope people enjoyed it. You hope they watch it again. You hope they recommend it to their friends. But diving more deeply into it, Brendan, what are you hoping specifically people get out of watching Firefly Lane?
Well, I think, I mean, there's a lot of things. It's hard to, I don't know how to narrow it down, but I think this is a story about true love in the form of platonic friendship, of something, of a lifelong story of people who are opposites but need each other, and ultimately it's a story of like how we need each other in this, especially in this time that we're in, that like I know people left, right, and center who are kind of reaching their max of this whole pandemic thing, like, all right, today is the day, you know. So to have a story about actual like connection and going through stuff and getting through like this, like these people who just truly love each other, and I hope that like that allows people to reflect on the gratitude of having, if you're lucky enough to have someone like that in your life, and or at least the moments that you've experienced that. I think because all of our lives been thrown upside down this past year, and
sure has.
Those moments are all so precious. So
absolutely. Jason, what about you? What are you hoping to get out of watching the show?
Well, same thing. Yeah, I mean, 2020 was such a tire fire, and we were all meeting up on Zoom over quarantine. Actors, producers, writers, everybody's like a total family kind of situation, which is really cool. And we were just saying like how much people need this show, just like about connection and friendship and all that kind of stuff that is sadly hard to maintain in like this virtual world that we've been kind of navigating recently. So I hope they get, I hope they call a friend that they haven't spoken to in a while, or they call a family member that I haven't talked to in a while, stuff like that, you know?
You bringing up the virtual thing though, about the Zooms and everything, I do want to put devil's advocate a little bit here, and I want your opinion on it, both of you guys, okay? Obviously people miss, like you all miss being, you know, at events and, you know, doing like interviews like in person with people. Like I get it, you know what I mean? Like the actual junkets. However, you have to also think of how much money is being saved doing all the press junkets virtually.
Yeah.
That's, you have to take that into account. Like, I don't think this is going anywhere.
I know what you mean.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be nice to have some of that kind of slide our way a little bit, maybe when they save all that money, but yeah.
Oh my God. Well, this has been Popternative. Brendan, Jason, thank you guys so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. Seriously.
Thank you, man.
So
fun.
Yeah. You gotta have us back to do a hockey only podcast episode.
So
you talk to Craig J. Button and James Duthie and all these guys. I'm like,
Craig Button has been on the show 8 times.
Love Craig J.
Yeah, he's
so good.
Yeah, no, we'll definitely do another one about hockey for sure. You guys Canucks fans?
Oh yeah.
Big time. Yeah. Absolutely. Shout out to Zach McEwen. My buddy Zach plays for the Canucks. Shout out to him.
Yeah, 100%. And Shabbat's in my pool, so keep going, Thomas Shabbat.
Oh my God, I'll let him know for sure.
Yeah.
Where can people follow you guys on social media to keep up to date with everything?
at Mr. Brendan Taylor, Mr. Brendan Taylor on Instagram and Twitter.
Yeah, mine's at Jason McKinnon. It's actually Jason A. McKinnon. Not like the Canadian A, literally the letter A.
Not like Nathan. Not like Nathan McKinnon. Keep it
no, I wish. No, I wish. Oh, dude.
And of course, people.
I'm okay. I'm not that good.
People can watch Firefly Lane right now on Netflix, season 1.
Yeah, get on it.
Absolutely. Well, this has been Popternative. YouTube.com/Popternative for previous episodes. Until next time, this is Brendan, Jason, and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.